I'm Jennifer Sawtell, and my husband and I have three children, two who are already students at Town Country, and one who will be a student in a couple years and cannot wait to start.
I'm Mark Gruen, and I have three children here at two now at Town Country. The oldest was graduated 2 years ago and is now attending high school.
I'm Steve Ames.
And I'm Linda Ames, and we have three kids that have been at Town Country, a total of like 17 years. Yeah.
I'm Julia Jones. I have three children who go here. I have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 1st grader.
My son's Brian Krieger. He goes to Town Country Lutheran, and he started 1st grade this year, and he's doing great.
My wife and I are both extremely happy with Town Country Lutheran.
It's been a very positive experience for us and for our kids. And our oldest is through college, and the fundamentals that he got from his education were here. And our second child has just started college and is doing very well. And our third is finishing 8th grade and looking forward to high school. And we've not had an issue with you need to go to school. We've not had an issue with encouraging them to go on to develop themselves from an education standpoint. And a lot of that, we look back to their experience here to develop that interest and that ability in them.
Absolutely. It's been good.
The teachers have a great way of interacting with the students and getting to know the students, and not only teaching them the core academics and doing a stellar job at that, but they are very aware of each student and the level that each student is at. And one of the things that I love is, so far in our experience, all of the teachers that our kids have been very aware of the social interaction going on in the classroom as well, which I personally think is really important, because core academics are key, and that's certainly that Town Country excels at. But I think anybody who remembers their childhood knows that school is very much a social education as well, and there's a lot going on. And if the teachers aren't watching that and paying attention to that, I think that can be a pretty big detriment. And one thing I've really noticed is that the teachers are on top of it.
His teacher is Mrs. Ellis. She's been very helpful with everything. She sends us emails to keep us updated on what's going on with the school and what's going on with the class. I've had some concerns on Brian's reading at times, and I've worked on that. That was more my issue than his issue, that I was having him read a little bit more advanced. And since I've changed the pattern with that, he's done a lot better with it.
Over the years that we've been participating, we've developed a relationship with the staff and have a lot of confidence in them. Have found that we don't have to be concerned about our kids or what's going on here, because the staff is on top of things and is looking out for the best interest of our kids and all the kids here.
Yeah, it's almost like they're an extension of the family. I mean, it has become that over 17 years. But for me, the other thing that I've come to really appreciate is the fact that they're professionally trained, and they're called workers, so the fact that this is more than just a job for the people here, it's a calling that they take very seriously, and you can see that in how they carry themselves. And I really have come to appreciate that a lot.
And Ethan has had the same experience with his teachers. Miss Ellis has just been first rate, very nurturing, wonderful woman. Mrs. Warden is just fantastic. I mean, Ethan just adores her and the stories he tells me every day about the funny things that she does and says, and she gets his sense of humor, and she teases him a lot, and he loves that. And he just really blossoms, I think, with that kind of attention. And I think that's something that I've noted from the beginning, sending the children here, is that they seem to get what they need, not just academically, but emotionally as well. They really seem like they're being well taken care of, emotionally and academically.
he loves every teacher here. He's got nothing but good things to say about all the teachers. And I guess it's a good thing all the teachers know him. So I don't know if it's from him being so sociable or what, but they all seem to know who Brian is.
One of the other things that we've come to really love about it is the small nature of the school. It is a safe environment for the kids. It feels safe. Our kids from the beginning have always responded really, really well. They don't get swallowed up the way they might at a larger school.
I appreciate the size of our school. I came from a homeschooling background. Our girls started coming here in 3rd grade and 5th grade, having only been homeschooled before that. And so coming from that setting into a school was a little intimidating, and the size of the school, for one, really made that transition very smooth, and they didn't feel overwhelmed by hundreds and hundreds of unknown kids and teachers. And I think that the setting alone has been beneficial to their growth of acclimating to a traditional school setting, and that's been wonderful. And as a parent, there's places for me to volunteer and get to know all of the children here and know all of them by name, and it's not so big for me as a parent that I can't find my way around or feel connected as well.
I think maybe sometimes people are concerned that a smaller school doesn't have the activities, and in discussions with other friends with kids in other schools, we feel like our kids have had a very well-rounded education here. So I guess from that standpoint, the computers and the art and science and all of that, we don't feel they've been cheated.
Music, drama.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And still the fundamentals are very important.
Yeah.
Math and science, English, history. It's a well-rounded program, and it's not been our experience that any particular aspect suffers for lack of funding or lack of involvement by the school.
Yeah. So it seems like it's been more than enough. They're well-rounded kids. Yeah.
The quality of the education that the kids receive, and that's both in the basics like math, sciences, and language arts, but also in the added things that the school provides in music. Our kids are in band and learning instruments and taking music, and that goes a long way as they grow up.
I have to say the computers have been really, I've been impressed by that. In fact, our 6th grader was able to help someone at a meeting that needed help with their PowerPoint presentation, an adult meeting, and she, at the end of her 5th grade year, was able to walk up and help the person figure out their presentation because of what she had learned here in the computer class. So I was impressed that she knew how to do that.
He enjoys everything about this school. He's had no complaints. There's the after-school program. He loves staying after school. Sometimes I can't get him to come home with me, but it's a great program that you've got here also for that. And I'm greatly appreciative for that.
The trips that they go to DC, you know, all the Town Country offers all this extracurricular that has been very meaningful, and it shapes our children in a great way. So very pleased, very excited about it.
And with 3 different kids, each having different interests, different abilities, they've all been able to participate in a lot of different activities, from educational activities to sports activities, going on trips to Washington, D.C. and New York, and field trips. It's been a different experience for each of them because they're different people, but it's been a positive experience, and they've gotten what they've needed as individuals. It's not a cookie-cutter scenario here. The needs of the student are addressed.
Yeah.
We feel.
I think the idea of the school meets the student where they are and nurtures them from there. I think that's been really valuable. So.
Both from an educational standpoint and from a character standpoint and a values standpoint.
This is my children's first year in band, so I have my 6th grader is taking the clarinet and 4th grader is taking the saxophone, and it's their first time doing anything like that. And they love it, it's fun. The The performance was great, something for them to work towards, to stretch them beyond themselves that is non-academic. It's not homework related, it's something totally different that they can excel in and have fun learning, and it's good.
I mean, I'm very happy with the school. We've been very happy with his progress. I feel that he's learned a lot more here than in public school because the classes are smaller. There's a lot more attention given to the kids than in a public school. And when he was in public school, I think there were 30 kids in his class. So there was no supervision on a lot of the stuff that was being done or taught. So, but I'm very happy and Brian's very happy. And that's what matters.
And one thing that I was really worried about in the beginning, and my husband kind of talked me through it, were the fact that here and there, as the kids get older, there are mixed classes. You'll have third graders with fourth graders or first graders with second graders. And I think a lot of parents might see that and be concerned that their children aren't going to get the same level of academic instruction or the same level of interaction with the teacher because of that. I know it was something that I sort of wondered about or worried about because it was a little foreign to me. And I have found that I love it as it's continued. I think it really contributes to the sense of community because the school is so small. I think it's been invaluable in terms of instilling a certain confidence in our kids. I think it's great because I think it instills a certain amount of maybe positive peer pressure because the older kids are kind of right there, and I think when your child is on the younger end of the spectrum, like for example, when Ethan was in first grade, he was always looking up to the second graders. And what I also loved is how the second graders really take care of the first graders and really kind of look out for them. And then suddenly, you know, now Ethan's in third grade and he's looking up to the fourth graders, and some of them are still the same second graders he used to look up to. And that relationship just continues.
The school that he was going to a long time ago was a good school to go to. Nowadays is not a good school to go to. There's a lot of different backgrounds of kids that are there. There are a lot of kids that tried to bully other kids there.
I said, what do you like most about Town and Country? He said a couple things, and then this was powerful to some extent. He said, after he told me a couple things, he said, you know what, Dad, there's really no bullies there. And I said, huh. And then this was funny. He kind of, after a bit, he kind of looked at me and he said, what are bullies? And I said, what? And I think he knows what they are because he sees it on TV. But that's true. I don't think, you know, certainly there's ups and downs. You know, every family has issues. But everything is being put together to build up the kid, the child, the student in Christ. And there's no room for even the term bully. You just don't see it. That's amazing. Very nice.
We haven't had any personal experience. I have a number of friends who send their children to other schools. I personally feel like we are far more comfortable. Maybe we're just different people, but I hear a lot of complaints from my friends about things going on in the classroom, the way teachers handle things, the way they feel like their children aren't getting the attention or aren't being noticed the way they should be when they're having issues or when they're struggling. I don't have any of those concerns. I know my husband does not have any concerns in that regard at Town and Country. We have felt very, very fortunate that our children love the environment. They love their teachers. Every year they've loved their teachers.
One of the reasons we came to Town and Country when our daughter was going into the second grade, our oldest. She was going to our neighborhood school, which was a good school, getting good academics, just like, you know, you're getting here as well. But seemed like something was missing, and I think now, looking back on it, it would have been, you know, those teachers aren't really allowed to teach a Christ-centered education. And so how does a child mature, not just in academics, but in life skills and who they are and what is truth and all those big things? They're getting that here. And so I mean, once we brought her in at 2nd grade, we had no reservations, no complaints. Academics-wise, again, the same daughter is performing very well at a high-level high school. So she came out, that was an interesting question when she graduated from 8th grade. We kind of thought, well, we'll see how Town and Country prepared her to go into a bigger pond, a bigger place with a more rigorous academic schedule. And she's high, she's top honors there, and she's performing very well. And that's not to say it happens for everybody, but we're more than assured that the education level that the teachers are putting forth here is preparing these kids quite well to go into the world. So that's a good thing. And Elena said, it's really like a family. And that may sound cliche, but coming from a 15-year-old, that's pretty amazing. And she still calls, she could call up her friends, she could come back here at some of these activities and fit right back in. She knows everybody, and it's like a family. And there's a love there that's more than just teacher-student. It's a family kind of thing.
Well, one of the things I really like is the chapel families. I like that there are children of all ages who are sitting together and learning about the Lord together, but also having fun. And they get to know and be known by everyone in the school. And it's not just grade specific, and I really like that.
When he started going here, he started talking about his chapel family, and he loves that. And it's really cool because he's asking me to pray for him, and he always wants to pray, which is great. But as far as the chapel leaders that he's got, he's super happy about that.
One of the things that I can point out is the chapel family concept, where not only is it like a family in terms of us as the parents and the staff and the community here, but within the students, they start to take on a feeling of responsibility to each other. And the fact that there's the chapel families and the kids start to feel responsible one for another, I just think that's awesome. And it's things that my kids have brought home and shared, that they care for one another at that level. And I don't think you'd find that in a lot of school environments.
The chapel families is another thing that I think has had a big impact on our kids. I know when my son was in kindergarten and 1st grade, his chapel family, they've probably been described already, but it's where there's a student from each class in a group, and there's 8 groups, and they stay together throughout the year. So from 8th grade to kindergarten, there's one of each grade level represented. And so these kids get to know each other, and these kids start to look out for each other, and they, whether it's in the playground or at sporting events, these guys know each other. And I think for all 3 of our kids, just the knowing an 8th grader when you're young. I mean, Christian had Joe, I still remember his name, I don't know what his last name was, but Joe was the 8th grader. And he looked up to Joe, and there was a time where he came home and said, "Joe played basketball with me today," and I think Joe was tall. And Christian thought that was the greatest thing ever. And Joe probably doesn't have any memory of it, but for the impact that they have on those kids, I think that all those chapel families have some sort of thing like that where the olders are taking care of the younger, so they're getting responsibility as well.
It really fosters a sense of community, and it's almost a sibling kind of bond, if you will, I think, between the older kids and the younger kids, where I notice the older kids really do kind of seem to feel affectionately toward and look out for the younger kids, and the younger kids really look up to the older kids. And I personally think that creates a really nice level of confidence in the older kids and in the younger kids. And I've seen our children flourish with that. I mean, really, really enjoy the attention of the older students. But then likewise, as they're getting a little older, well, as Ethan's gotten a little older, I watch how he feels and talks about some of the younger students.
I mean, there's just so many elements to the family side of it that it's hard to put it into words. I mean, you have to experience it in a way.
The physical education and the sports programs they play, Christians in basketball and volleyball, and what's great is they each get an opportunity not just to participate, but also to really be involved in these teams and be relied on. And so they're learning a lot about how to function in a team setting.
I love the fact that it's inclusive, and that from the strongest player to the weakest player, they include everyone and celebrate the giftedness. So, you know, there are star athletes, and that's great, and we all celebrate those gifts of those athletes. And yet, because we've had children that are stronger athletically than others, and yet they're all celebrated where they are, and they're able to play and also learn like the fundamentals of the games, which I think is really great too. So to me, I like the fact that they're all celebrated where they are.
And yet expected to contribute, expected to participate at the level they can best, as opposed to nobody gets a free ride. It's you have to put in your effort just the same, which is to me important in the building of a sports program.
Yeah, I think
a sports experience overall.
Yeah, sportsmanship, the fact that the staff here probably puts more effort on, you know, having good sportsmanship when they're with other schools, and how they carry themselves and the character being developed even through the sports program. Yeah.
It's great to see the parents that are involved and how they are also examples for the kids. You know, I think Christian went on a field trip recently, and we didn't get a chance to go, but the parents that went, he got to know quite well. And again, there too, they're learning how to be adults from these people and from the teachers, and that's a great thing. Been involved with, I've had a chance to go on some of the pioneer camps that the third grade goes on for all the kids. And so there's a commitment there that parents make once they get to the school, but it's rewarding in many ways. And you know, you want to be involved in sort of the fundraisers and the cook-offs and the food activities. It's like a family.
I'm self-employed. I haven't had a whole lot of time to do it. I'm looking forward to start helping out on things, on projects and stuff here at the school, as far as getting involved with that. I want to try to get involved as much as I can. There's no pressure from anyone to get involved, which is really nice, but I feel that I really want to get involved with things.
I've had ample opportunities, whether it's field trips and accompanying them on field trips, driving on field trips, for myself, making snacks for holidays and all of that kind of thing. It's been a fun thing to be able to do. There are tons of ways to help out, just little things, whether it's washing and drying towels for the school, or baking things, or volunteering. The smallest scale all the way to the biggest scale, you can kind of get as involved as you want to be. And it's nice because it gives you a chance to see your kids in the environment, in the school environment, and see how things work, and get to know the teachers and the staff a little bit more, and feel part of a community instead of just a place that you're sending your kid for the day and picking them up every evening.
There's a lot of people that are involved in the school and are able to participate in the school that aren't necessarily members of the congregation. I, as a parent that's not a member of the congregation, have always felt supported by the congregation, included by the congregation, and don't sense a separation there, but sense a real contribution on the part of the congregation, and all the students are important to the congregation and to the teachers, and feel that our kids have always been treated that way.
Yeah, and I feel a little bit like it's like how the students are treated. Parents are always encouraged to be involved, but not forced to be involved. And so it allows people to kind of come in and find their place in involvement. And there are some parents who get really involved in everything, and there are some that aren't as active, but everybody's appreciated for what they contribute. And I think it's, again, meeting people where they are when they come in. Yeah.
He's done a complete 180-degree turn from when he was going to public school and started going here. I have not seen one child here that has been mean or in a negative way towards any of them. I've gone in after school to pick him up, and there's kids that aren't his chapel leader that are helping him with his homework. And he's got time to do his homework while he's here after school, and it's nice to see that the older kids are there to help them with it, and they've all been through it.
See, there's also the dramas that the kids put on. That was one of the things that sold us when we looked at the school maybe 8 years ago, I think we said it was. Elena came here in 2nd grade, and then our kids have all been here since. But I think we saw some spring presentation that the school was doing, and it was a patriotic theme in the old gym, and it really blew us away. Just the good nature and the cheer that these kids had in singing these songs, and the staff that put this thing together, it was phenomenal. And we've seen that every year, and we look forward to it every year. So the drama productions are exciting. The kids get a chance to learn how to speak in front of audiences. They get a chance to learn what it means to be on stage, and that's valuable information for these kids to know, and it shapes them. So that's one of the reasons. And should I keep going?
People are blown away when we explain that the teachers each year before school starts near the end of the summer actually come to our house and visit with our kids. And our kids love that. They think it's so fun, and they're kind of nervous and they're kind of shy, but it's obviously makes them feel very important. And we love it as parents because you get a chance to sit down and chat for a few minutes with a teacher out of the school environment. I think it gives the teachers a little insight into your child and where they're coming from and how they're living and where they're living, and they get to see them in their environment and their comfort zone. And I think that's invaluable really too in forging that relationship with the student. And so I think for us, I think there's a lot more one-on-one attention to the students than what I see other friends of mine experiencing at the schools that their kids are going to.
I was thinking about Town and Country and the fact that the school has been so consistent over 17 years. And as a parent with kids, you want to see that consistency. And even though some people have come and gone as far as staff, there's always been a consistency with the school, which has been really, really valuable to us. Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a good sell from us because we really like the school.
One of the first things that we really love is the structure and the foundation, the Christian foundation that the school provides. We are Christian, we're Reformed, not Lutheran, but the doctrine is consistent with our faith. And as a family, we feel like it's very, very important to have that sort of structure and foundation at school as well as at home, so that the values that we're teaching at home are also being reinforced at school. And that's one of the #1 reasons that we checked out Town and Country to begin with.
And really, the most important thing is just that there's a Christ-centered foundation that we see here at Town and Country, both in the teachers' lives, the staff, the administration, the pastor certainly in the church. You can't find that everywhere. And that shows through in their love of the kids, their relationships to our children and the children we see of other families here. It's evident. And it's not done in any sort of pretense or any sort of holier than thou way. It's a humility that can only be found in Christ, and that's an amazing thing, and it's sort of an extension of what we as parents want to happen in our household, and we want that to be evident in our lives for our children. But now the kids are seeing the teachers exhibit that in their relationships with the teachers, and so it's sort of an outcropping of the family. So it's a great thing. There's other things I could keep going.
I appreciate that the teachers at this school love the Lord, and that I can entrust my children to them, and that the things that they're teaching, the academics, of course, are very important and are well done. But as a mother who follows Christ, to know that my children are under the direction and leadership of other adults that also love the Lord, and that's the perspective they're coming from when they're dealing with my children.